Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I'm Frozen and today we're back with some more Hades. How are we all doing? Ooh, we get to do shield this time.
Let's go with this one.
Do we have some of the other aspects
Let me
unlocked?
see you now for what you truly are.
I think the Zeus aspect is pretty good. Let's just upgrade it. Why not? Right?
Our bond grows stronger.
Hey, what just happened?
Let's just upgrade it. And if we're going with the Zeus shield, why not just go with Zeus? We're going to do a Zeus run, baby. Yeah. Now, what level do we need to do this at for the heat-wise? I'm just at heat 3. Interesting. Yeah, cool. I'll take that. I'll take that. Let's go. But yeah, how are we all doing? How are we all doing? I myself am, although feeling tired, feeling a lot better.
Ah, now that's the Aegis that I know and love. Or used to love, at least, the dear old thing. Now I quite love these shocking bolts of mine. Though I am proud you've given Aegis a good home, and bear it in my name.
That is right, that is exactly what I'm doing. Attack switch in there, 2 electric shock, because it just deals more damage. Now we have the spinny shield. Exactly what we need.
Come try me.
But yeah, I've been while being ill and stuff and not feeling great, I've been watching a lot of well, I say watching. I've been reading a lot of actually no, watching as well. Reading a lot of manhwa, manga, watching a bunch of anime and stuff like that as well, and just like binge watching some of the rubbish that exists, as well as some of the kind of like ones that I was pleasantly surprised by. But like while watching through them, there's one thing I kind of wanted to address.
Message for you, son of Hades. One recorded in an age when certain concepts it describes did not yet all exist. Remember this. I see you stand your ground against the serpent's flame. A waking phrase, to which you and the all-seeing artifact of my creation may respond.
A waking phrase. And an all-seeing artifact, you must mean Aegis, right? So I'm to say to it, I see you stand your ground against the serpent's flame, and it'll wake right up. Though, can you tell me what it means, or who?
Oh, I can tell you almost anything. However, I would much prefer it if you learned most of the answers you seek by yourself.
Very well.
I see you stand your ground against the serpent's flame.
Attack. Booms. Nah, booms being rarer, so much better. We'll go be slow for a bit. So no, we take gems. We want gems at the moment more than anything else. So, as I was saying, so there's always been a trope in anime, like for ages, right, of just of the whole isekai genre and stuff. And more recently, they've been using this, you know, like transport to another world and all that jazz, right? Where an enemy has like magic and everything else, monsters, heroes, guilds, the usual kind of tropes, the leveling system attached to it and all that, you know, lovely good stuff that we all love. And, you know, it wouldn't be a trope if we didn't enjoy it. But there was one thing I wanted to kind of like gloss over on it, is this new trope that's kind of gone in with that sort of well, it's not really a subgenre, it is a genre of it. And a lot of them are using like games or stuff that people have played in their universes, right? So it's like, oh, I got transported into the game I used to play and now it's a real world, or something like that. That's that sort of kind. And obviously this person has intimate knowledge of the entire world, all its details, its inputs and outcomes. A lot of some manhwa are doing this at the moment as well. And there's this very annoying trope that always comes up, right? So, oh, what's the name of one of the ones that I was watching at one point? The guy who just believes he's just a mob character in a in like a fantasy romance novel.
Nothing.
that he was forced to play at his sister's behest for something special, like a special event thing.
From Master Chaos
Oh, I
is
gotta
involved.
remember the title of that.
Check the old well.
It's pretty good to gain that, but I always forget to use them anyway, so it's like, yeah. But yeah, so like that's pretty much a good example of the guy knows pretty much everything about the world, how it's designed, how it functions.
Word is you caused quite the hubbub in Elysium, Prince Ed. Making the champion up there really work for it, I hear.
You could say that, I guess. Apparently word gets around. That Theseus, though, he doesn't care for me one bit, let me tell you.
I bet he'd like you better if you were a regular pushover. Ah well, he'll learn, I'm sure.
I'm sure he will. I'll take darkness this time.
I got you covered.
Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah, gift the boulder.
You take good care of Sisyphus there, won't you, Baldy?
Maybe something will happen.
Well, see you.
Maybe.
He's grateful.
So, yeah, the trope I'm talking about is like, okay, so they've got intimate knowledge. They use that knowledge to kind of cheat the world a little bit. Only a little bit, but they do cheat the world, right? And then, because they kind of, like, cheat the world, they've either, like, say, removed opportunities from other people that would have had that. And... instead of explaining it this way, it's probably better to explain it a different way, actually. So, essentially, like, the other version of this trope is not that you get transferred to another world, but you get transferred back into the past, right? There are two differences they come from after blocking. No special hits. Hits next 2 attacks at 8% damage. Yeah, might as well. If I get attacks, then
A shield.
that's gonna be pretty good. Take the money. Do you go for the mini boss? Take the money. So the two tropes about that sort of like reincarnation or regression or whichever way you want to call it in the stories are I'm doing it to change the world or I'm doing it to keep everything the same, right? To try and complete the story as such, right? The issue I have with the whole thing is the whole idea of trying to complete the story doesn't make sense to me. And sometimes it's more infuriating than them just, say, doing whatever they wanted to in those grounds. Right? Like, I don't quite understand it. So, like, you know, they live in the world, they may grow up from it from, like, a small thing. And I think this is why some of, like, the... Mushoku Tensei was probably a lot more popular back then as well, because essentially the main character does the things
Shiny.
that you'd kind of expect them to do given the situation they've been placed in, right? They live a normal life. They become happy with their life, or, you know, apart from some of the creepier stuff. You know? Oh, cool, I can actually just, like, push them into it. So, yeah, there's this kind of, like, disconnect between, like, essentially what the players end up wanting to do and then what they end up actually doing, right? Because, like, they'll take opportunities away from the characters in the story, completely changing the story, but then we'll say, kind of like...
I hope that once you make it to Olympus, we'll go hunting sometime, you and I, you know? I like being on my own and all, but it's been nice talking to you like this.
Ooh, attacks being stronger. Yeah, I'll take that. Or the arrows. Actually, the arrows are really good. I do like them. So yeah, they're kind of like, oh yeah, you know, I want to, you know, we got to finish the story. I can't derail from the story, and then they're kind of like not treat the people that they've been living with as human beings, or the people they have been treating as human beings. They deny them their own autonomy in a way by saying like, oh no, you can't do that because, you know, this is just a game and I've got to play the role that I've got to play. And like, really? Like, really? But like, I get it from a story perspective in some aspects, right? I do understand
The deep arise.
the point of it. It's just like, to me, it makes like such a massive cringy situation when, you know,
There. Another
A good example of it would be is if you had read your own life story and you knew everything in your life that was ever going to happen, right? And I mean literally every last thing, and you knew the only way, like, the world can be saved or, like, good outcomes for people happen, the people that you generally care about are if you aren't in their lives, because you've seen the outcome of both their lives and your own life by watching that story, right? Do you think having that knowledge of how the story progresses and the reasons of why that bad stuff happened would make you a better person to improve their lives and still come out with a good outcome for them? Or would you believe that you should deny everything you've done to change yourself and basically become better in a form of keeping them happy in the story that's no longer going to happen?
Just what I need.
Ooh, special can crit. Yeah, take that.
Power of Olympus.
Increase the damage on the special. Take that as well. Let's move on. Because that's the bit that frustrates me, right?
Oh, good.
Murder. Murder. Murder.
But yeah, that's the bit that kind of is the bit that gets under my skin with it, right? Because you think these people have, like, you know, you've worked hard, you know, or whatever in the story, and like your people you care about have worked really hard to kind of get what they want, and then you kind of essentially just deny them, like, their own autonomy because you think you know how the story will go, which makes you incredibly, like, egotistical because you suddenly think you know what's best for them. I guess it comes down to a difference in perspective, like, on, like, what you believe the worlds exist in, kind of thing, I guess. It's idea of the fact that you exist in the world already makes the world change, so it's like change is going to happen regardless of what you think, so is trying to continue with the story the best way to kind of solve you out of your solution, get you back home, or those sort of things? I don't know.
Off to Asphodel. Should I change things up?
I keep getting more of those, so I'm just going to go with the arrowhead at this point in time. Yeah, don't get anything from there. Let's move on. It's just a sort of like, it's a cringe moment for me, right? It's that point where it's like you read a story and you know the main character's opinions and facts and their own feelings on the topic, and you can see, say, like, the main heroine's facts, opinions, and you know what their emotions are going through, and yet you see one of them deny it completely because they believe the story shouldn't be going this way. And you're like, that's just plain ridiculous. You've already changed enough as it is. You know, you've already destroyed certain relationships and created new ones. Like, you're beyond the point of where you can keep the story the same anymore. So you might as well embrace the change and kind of, like, roll with it. Be happy as such. Because you never know, you may never get out of that world as such. And it's just like, I don't know, maybe it's my own point of logic that I think like that. Or maybe I am completely right and all these people are just being really silly. I do not know. One thing I know is it does frustrate me. Not in a bad way, just more of like, oh, really? Just, you know. It's like, girl, just make out with him, Greta. You know you want to. But yeah, it's just something that kind of, like, really kind of came from. And then, like, the tropes always end up happening, right? I think they're kind of happening in another kind of interesting one, which I kind of like it for the dynamic of the whole family dynamic as well, which is kind of interesting in how, like, everything's been set up and it's kind of wherever this like elder salaryman who happens to also be kind of like an avid otaku stuff, enjoys those sort of things, and so does his entire family, hence why, like, you know, their whole family is like really kind of oriented around this stuff, which is kind of really adorable in its own right. But like he gets put in the character of like the main villainess of a romance story again. It's like, it's actually really interesting in the sense of like their interactions and stuff, but at the same time you're thinking to yourself, hang on a minute, your interactions have already changed the story, and you don't know what the story's ending is or anything else as well. All you know is the fact that,
Hello, Hermes.
you know, the main heroine of the game is meant to kind of like,
Let's hustle, shall we, boss? Honestly, I don't know how the rest of you can stand it, trudging about like you don't have some place to be.
you know, like meant to romance like one of these particular I think the attack actually. It's like romance like one particular of the main guys in the whole story, yet you don't realize the influence you're already having at that point, which is just kind of like, come on. And we all know, like, there is a lot of differences in those, right? I don't know, it could just be me. Maybe I'm the one that's weird that would think myself, like, I've already turned around and, like... Really? I hate these guys that jump. Oh yeah, you know that. So it could have might
You
die
now
this thing.
find better things to do.
All mine.
Like, I wouldn't attempt to keep playing in the same way the story is, right? If I'm correct, I should get a really good one from here. I did not. That's pretty good.
Why, nephew, is this all some sort of jest to you? It isn't one that I appreciate.
Had to choose. He's
But yeah, it was, it's something that's been kind of... let's just say, is kind of getting a bit under my skin over it, right? Mainly because it's just like, you know for a fact that if anyone actually truly got sent to like a game world or a thing that they were kind of going in, they probably would know everything about the world as such, and they'd be able to, like, you know, level up insanely well, get really good skill sets, all that jazz. But they wouldn't think to themselves they probably should keep the story the same. They would try probably to see what they can do to change the story or adapt it or improve on it or all that stuff, right?
really.
It would just seem like that was the more appropriate thing they'd end up doing. Maybe not more appropriate, or less appropriate, but... like, that would have a more humanized reaction to me. Right?
Oh, I don't have the heart to keep exacting vengeance on you, nephew.
Yeah, I'll take that, I guess.
Thunder time.
Shot.
What's in the pool this time?
Increased rarity. I will try and reroll this, actually, maybe.
Time for a change.
No. 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 No.
How about no?
No. Oh, I can't do it anymore. Okay, fine, we'll take the Zeus beam. Oh. Here's the sisters.
Witch's circle.
But yeah, it's kind of an interesting debate, right? I'm probably on the idea of I'm probably going to be changing the story, right? There's no point in at the stage that I get to to try and keep the story the same way it is, because I know I'm going to change it anyway. Right?
Witchcraft. What can you do?
I guess to attack him with a chain of lightning. No, I'll take the side discharge. At least then my special does a bit more damage.
And we're off.
But yeah, there's plenty of them out there like it. This notion and steadfastness, like they'll get almost through like through the majority of like the main story, realize that nothing is turned out in the way that the main story would have turned out, and they'll still have this sort of like inconceivable notion that they should still keep everything strictly to what they know. And I understand it from the perspective of, okay, you might lose control over the situation and not understand like what the best course of action is anymore. But that doesn't give you really the right to start then like not treating the characters in the story as human beings as you've been doing so at this point. Like it's a conflict in their personality, and I find I find it quite drastic and kind of like outtaking when it happens, right? Because like, here, one moment ago, I'm enjoying a really nice story. You know, there's a bit of romance stuff going on between the main characters and stuff. For whatever reason, it's really sweet and interesting. And then suddenly it's like, no, we can't do this. It's not the way the story goes. You know, the phrase like, oh yeah, but I know where you'll be happy and stuff. I know what's best for you and all that jazz. And it's just like, it's that point where it becomes like the person from the story ends up pleading with the main character in such a way that it looks like extremely desperate, of like, why won't you, like, what's different kind of thing. And sort of like my take on it would be, is if, you know, wife, girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, stuff like that, if they suddenly started pleading with you, like literally on the ground begging you to say the words they're saying to you back, and yet like you're like, oh no, but I know you'll be happy with someone else because I've already know how the story goes. It's like, you're the moron. Right? At that point it's just like, yeah, you kind of need to get yourself sorted or checked.
Cheers, mate.
I guess this means you must have paid the boatman's ransom here. And whatever price he charged you, it was worth it.
I hope so. Ooh, critical, still more damage. Natural deals more damage. Oh, marking foes after a crit. That sounds great to increase crit chance. The jolt effect being better. Interesting. I'll take the increase on that. But yeah, like that, like, to me that's what it feels like, right? Like, if my partner in the future was acting like that, it wouldn't matter if I knew it was right or wrong. Like, I couldn't deny them their feelings, unfortunately. I would do everything I possibly can to make them happy in that moment, right? And that's all that would matter to me. But maybe I'm simple-minded, right? Maybe I am. But it's a really common trope. Oh, we died.
Oh, that hurt.
Like, it's a really common trope that's ended up being used like quite a lot, and I'm getting to the point where it's just like, really? I think there's like another memoir I was reading at one point as well that just really frustrated me. It was about, like, I don't know, like some guy who basically just has the powers to do whatever they want to, but yet doesn't use them at all. Like, in any way, shape, or form, just allows himself to be looked down upon and everything else as well for no particular reason other than the fact that the guy seems to have, like, some sort of, like, kink to it, I guess. is the only solution I can come up with. You know, it's like he's like the guy's got literally a defamation kink. And I really do mean like he gets looked down upon, belittled, and everything else as well, right? It is extremely infuriating, at least to me. Because I'm like...
Got you.
So put it this way, it's like... How would I say it? It's more the character doesn't have a human interaction with the given situation, right?
Surpassed my Hydra.
Keepsakes hold power.
What else do we want in this? Poison could be interesting. Knockback. Let's take an Aphrodite one, right? Because I know she just... Is it up close damage? No, it's the
Why not?
thing. But I need to upgrade it anyway, so let's take it.
Onward then. Thank you.
Yeah, their interactions within the world and stuff just tend to end up not being human when they do stuff like that. It's like... I don't know, so...
Champions of Elysium, I've returned.
Well, my point would be, is like, if you've got a history with, say, your family was defamed and everything else as well, and you're looked down upon consistently, but you also happen to be, like, the most powerful person within your society, right? So you then go into places where, one, you're clearly looked down upon by everyone there, and no one really respects you, which is... Okay, fine, you don't want to reveal who you are or anything else as well. But then say you go out your way to reveal who you are, but these people still don't quite get the memo that you know you are someone powerful, and it's just like, hang on a minute, like you're seeing this person that is above you suddenly supporting this one man's decision that you clearly were looking down upon before, and yet somehow you don't see that there's some issue with that. You're acting like you're still in the right somehow, and everything else as well. Like
This shield's about to get a whole lot stronger.
attacks twice. Yeah, actually that's pretty good. Pulverized, but we'll take that.
Let's go, Aegis.
Like, I don't get it. It just baffles me. Because, like, human interaction in those situations, like, once you have kind of, you know, revealed yourself, there's no point you holding on, you know, there's no point you in sort of, like, say, not using your authority more openly anymore, because people kind of already know your authority now, right? But then it's like the end of a sitcom. You know, everything goes back to the way it was before. Nothing's changed. The status quo has been maintained. And the guy is still a secret to everyone, even though that he's probably just literally beat up like 100 guys from Mobster and completely removed them from the area. And yet now he still wants to try and maintain his indifference to everything else around him. And you're like, hang on a minute, what? Like you can't have your cake and eat it too, right? The guy is either always
Some of Charon's wares.
secretive and behind the scenes, or, you know, they generally have authority to do stuff. I don't have that much gold, so I guess take keys.
You want to die again?
Is it me? I mean, do other people also find this kind of thing, like, very annoying? Or is it just me? Like, I don't think it's just me, because, like, you know, otherwise I would probably, I would find some logic where I could make it make sense in some way, right? But just because, like, I don't understand something doesn't mean necessarily I can not see the logic in it, right? I can still probably follow someone's thought process enough to where, like, I can make it make sense. But, like, in this case, like, some of this stuff, I'm like, really, that doesn't make sense. Like, why would you put yourself in that position if this is what was going to happen, right? And the thing is like, if you're then showing off your power as such in the story, and all the main character is, like, there's only a handful of charismatic main characters that can probably pull that stuff off, right? Ooh, the bull.
To challenge me again. Not many in Elysium so dare. Then I accept.
Wait, I never challenged you. The entrance to your chamber looks like any other pathway in Elysium. I have no quarrel with you, sir.
To step into my chambers to challenge me. It is a custom since the time I lived and breathed in darkness. I will send you into such a darkness now. Rage.
Oh, really? We're going to have one of these fights again where I get them getting, like, taken out on repeat quite easily. But yeah, it's something where I'm like, it's becoming more of a trope of just like dumb characters that I'm kind of getting to like a point where I'm like, really, kind of thing, you know? Like, I don't mind them if they got a reason for it, right? Like that's the big thing. There has to be a reason for, like, their interactions and stuff, and thinking behind the scenes. You know, I am probably not a person who can write decent characters, but I can write interesting ones, right? And ones that, you know, my DM sessions and stuff kind of enjoy, and ones I've used in multiple different stories as well, like, it... And the main thing is, like, when designing them, like, they have a character trait, they have a goal, they have a motivation. That motivation may not make sense to anyone else, but as long as I can make it make sense to the character I'm creating, then that's kind of the whole point, and there's a logic to it. In some cases, the logic is the fact the person is, say, mad or evil. Which is that should kind of get a get out of free card in some cases.
What shall we do here once you finally arrive? Perhaps we could go out and meet some mortals. I know all too many maidens and or noble gentlemen who'd absolutely love to get to know you.
All right, on the attack, that sounds great.
My heart is full.
Right, it's just that sort of
I hear something.
I have arrived.
Get more life there.
Let's get this done.
Okay, Dan, you know,
Let's
Dan.
get to it then.
It's best just let him do it at this point. Like, I really don't like these fights in this particular place. Because, like, I just turn them into things where he generally does just to kill them.
Come die again.
How about you?
But yeah, I'm kind of interested in, like what's the thought process behind the character design, their motivations, their intentions, and all that jazz, right? Because, like, to me, as far as I'm concerned, like, if I can't make sense of it, there's either a flaw in my logic, or there's a flaw in the character logic, at which point, if I don't mess with that... Wait, no, like I said, if it doesn't gel with me, it's not something that I'm going to,
We'll leave no trace of this.
be able to sort of, like,
Well, I'm off.
wrap my head around it. Thanks,
Nancy.
Dan. Ooh, I can give me more Death Defiances back. Or healing, I could do with the healing probably more than the Death Defiances.
Tell me, stranger, if it pleases you, how is it you keep running into me? I thought this the remotest corner of Elysium.
The ever-shifting chambers of the underworld leave quite a bit to chance. I took our meetings merely for coincidence.
When chance is too far-fetched to be believed, then it's the fates at play, or something else. I don't know whether to believe you, but I know that I want you to leave me now.
Okay, dude. Okay. 30% is pointless. Just replenish my death defiances. That's good enough. Do we take health? I'll take gold here because I need it for the shot. That's the way we'll go. So yeah, there is, but like, I won't pretend like 100% don't want to talk about character designs and stuff, but I will say, like, having developed characters I have found that people have enjoyed and stuff, and it might be only a select few, but in some cases that's really all that kind of matters. And if everyone in a consensus group of 5 people can sit there and go, actually, that's a really good character, we absolutely love him, or her, like, why is it that that character is so loved? Is it because the character design? Is it because they're human? Is it because they just generally seem cool? But then how have I created that charisma as such for the character, right? Like, there is a reason behind it. It's not just, oh yeah, they're just, you know, they're awesome because of something, not because they're just awesome, right? Which I think is the corporation slot that ends up coming out at the moment that we have when people develop really poor character designs and stuff. Actually, that's probably a good example, right? So I played Infinite Strands, or Eternal Strands, not Infinite Strands, and I really like the game. It's interesting, gameplay mechanics are really good, and
I'll just take that.
I highly recommend it if you're kind of like a person that enjoyed the idea of Monster Hunter, but never really got a good grasp of it, is what I probably would have put it down to, right? More HP, I guess. I knew I was just going to take a hit straight away, wasn't I? That's sort of the attitude I probably have with that game in particular. If you like the idea of Monster Hunter, but it felt like it was just like way too much to kind of take in, this is a game I think you probably enjoy for the gameplay wise. As the characters, I will admit, at the start of the game, I wasn't really invested in any of them. It was monotonous and like, how should I say it? The characters are already fully fleshed out without me having to learn anything about them. So their interactions were either kind of already preset in stone, or they already had a dynamic that I was not privy to or could understand. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just, it takes time for a person to kind of understand and decide if they like characters, right? We all know that. And like a dynamic was already set up with them in particular before we could do anything else. At which point I'm kind of like intruding in on that to a certain point, and I don't know, it just didn't, I would say it probably didn't come across the way they intended to begin with. I will admit, later on in the game, as the story comes to reach this kind of crescendo and stuff, the mystery of what's going on becomes the driving force of the characters' interactions, which allows stuff to happen, right? So what I would say my takeaway from it would be is you can't take shit around you when you take damage to fit there, dash shoots shit. Guys, we'll take that.
Should help keep me going.
And increase my special damage. Other mark critical chance, why not? So how would I say?
Time for the main event.
If you seek a swift and righteous death, you fiend, you've come to the right place.
Okay, man. Okay. I guess the way I should put it is, it doesn't really have anything bad to do with like the characters of the story. It's just, to begin with, they're put in a high press situation, right? And I haven't had enough time with the characters to kind of maybe want to listen to lines and lines of dialogue. We'll say that much. Like 100%, right? We're all happy with that?
Gods grant me your power.
So, with the fact that they spent... No, I took a death points again. I'm not having a great time with this shield. I thought I would. There's one down. Change the strategy, works a little better. Yeah, because I didn't really have that... I didn't have that interaction before everything's kind of, like, the story kicked off as such. I wasn't invested in listening to what half of them were saying, which meant there was kind of nothing going on. But as the story develops, I find that... I find that there's more going on behind the scenes, right? And I start to understand.
Worth giving up.
I'll sell that, actually.
Extra coin.
And we'll sell the Jolt as well, I guess. Yeah.
One last stop. Yes.
You know, I started to want to listen to the conversations because there was lore, there was interesting things to discover, and the interactions were based around something that they were all discovering, say, for the first time, which kind of just made me want to listen to the interactions more. There was context for it, right? Rather than it just being like, okay, yeah, generic, 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 generic. Which I think is probably part of the issue with the characters to begin with, is... Like, I don't want to be mean, because, like, looking back at some of the writing and stuff, there were some witty moments, it made me chuckle, it got me emotionally invested in the end. But to begin with, I will say that it was probably very generic to start up with.
Which tunnel?
And it's not to say that's a criticism of the game, it was just more of, like, this is probably their first game in studio that was a critique that I could come up with, right? Like, on a game, and maybe sort of the pricing of it as well, maybe is... Nah, the pricing was actually pretty good for a game like that. It was, you know, cheaper than most of the other ones that are out there today. Maybe it's probably on a little bit too much side for what it is currently, but I hope there's like DLC for it, I really do. Or a second game. Like, I'm really looking forward to that as a... You know, as future endeavours. But like, other than that, and maybe some of the control issues, right? I think there were some of those as well I had, but... But other than that, like, that's my main criticism of the game. I'm like... Man, they're valid criticisms. They're not criticism that kind of ruin the entire performance of the game either. And, like, I still enjoyed my time with the game. I think there are a few games like that where I picked them up and they were like, you know, like 20, 30 pounds or probably $40 for you Americans out there. But, like, I genuinely enjoyed my time with those games, so I'm like, well, yeah, why... You know, you can see their faults, there's nothing wrong with that. At the same time as well, I also enjoyed the experience I had with those games, so... I'm like, they're not bad games in the slightest, but you're allowed to have criticism of it, and I think it's completely valid. part of me would think that maybe the characters are maybe a little bit hamstrung by, like, the complexities of business, shall we say?
A moment's rest.
I like using that word so much in that way. But yeah, we'll give the benefit of the doubt and say, like, you know, if the vision they truly set out to see probably came about in the way they intended it for, the game would have been, like, probably even better. I think there's probably a few different constraints that cause some issues for them. Maybe not in a negative way, but in a way that probably meant that certain things couldn't be realized in the way they, like, wanted 100%. Right? And there might be only minute things, but the minute things are probably the things I'm picking up on. Is probably what I would end up saying about that, right? At least to me, that's the way it kind of would feel, right? I mean, to be honest, they might believe they produced a perfect game, but in that case, then that's very short-sighted to believe that you could ever do that, right? I think they did a brilliant job. I definitely would think it's a hidden gem of this year. Of a game, if you ever think, actually, you know what, I just want to kind of, like, chill out and follow an interesting story. And, you know, essentially do some minor monster hunting. I honestly think this is a game that's 100% up your alley. I will admit, it probably could have taken me less time to complete it, but in the end I was having too much fun with just gathering materials and collecting all the hidden pieces, which I still haven't done. That is on my list of things to do still. So I probably will, after completing the main story and stuff, like, revisit it and go back and do that. But I've done all the side questing and things, I think. So, and then it's just like a few achievements for, like, doing really kind of, like, unusual stuff. You know, like, like, killing things in particular ways or stuff like that. Ooh. Any damage you deal. Yeah, we'll just take the, actually, no, Hunter Instinct. We'll get that while we can.
Artemis, guide my hand.
So I want to be able to get all the fate stuff done. You know, the fated list of minor prophecies. But yeah, like I said, I'm interested in what they're going to release later online. And I will say now, like, I'm probably more excited for games of a lower end budget and a smaller scope than I am for all these big AAA games, right? Just because I feel like a more targeted approach to something you want to create is, one, more efficient in the long run. And two, I can actually kind of enjoy the vision you're trying to create and the world you're trying to design, or the gameplay loop that you want to, you know, affect and
just what I
use.
Need, except...
Which is kind of like lessons I'm learning while trying to figure out, like, a game design that I'm kind of working on in my free time as well. I'm learning quite a lot from it. It's interesting. I'm nowhere near as good as anyone else, but, you know, I can do certain things. You know, setting the program to make a box move and stuff, like small goals, one at a time, learn, do certain things. I want it to do this particular thing where I learn how to do this. Like, the first thing is, okay, I just want a generic box that I can move around. Then I create the box and I learn how to make it move around. You know, later on I then link to that to controls and stuff, and then, you know, do little goals at one thing at a time. Yeah, I am nowhere near an expert developer or anything like that, so. Trap kill, nice. My skills are all Google's Google answers and Stack Overflow. That website's answered so many of my questions, more than I would ever care to admit. Doesn't matter what job I'm doing. I did laugh, because it took me ages to realise that, one, no one cares how I get my answers, as long as I have the answers, right? It was this idea, like, with a bunch of people I know from, like, doing some freelance work and stuff. It took me ages to get out this mindset of, like, oh, I have to be capable of doing everything. And it's like, no, I just need to have a core set of basic skills, and once I'm able to do those, that's all I need. I don't need any more, like, fancy stuff like that. I can look most of the other things up and find a solution very quickly. I think the words that were told to me around then, it's more important that I know how to use a hammer than actually to own one. In their case. No, was it? No. Or was that the other way around? I forget the phrase. Or is it more important to actually own the hammer than know how to use it? But essentially, it's more important to have skills that are multiply applicable that you can use to find solutions to other problems than it's necessary to have the solution available to you immediately.
Hey, Zagreus. There's something I've been wondering, and don't take this the wrong way or anything, okay? Oh no. It's her.
Who's her?
Why, Artemis, you're absolutely tongue-tied. Due to our little godling in the underworld, or a little due to me? You shall figure it all out, I'm sure.
Look, what was I... just never mind. I'll talk to you some other time, I guess.
I do love those interactions. I think they're absolutely genius. But that's what I mean, like...
Check the other passageways before I go.
Hades is a good example of this idea
again accepts the sack.
of, like, character interaction and stuff that I find entertaining. And it's all done through them not even talking to you. Like, there's no conversation going on. They just are telling you things. And you know so much about them from these little anecdotes that essentially they send you with the boons. It's so well crafted in that way that you get to know them as a person without actually ever having a conversation with them.
All right, this is it.
You come here bearing Brother Zeus's aegis. I wonder how much more insulting you could be.
What? I haven't even started to insult you here yet, Father. Flustered by the old shield of chaos, then?
Doubtless Zeus does not even remember wielding it. I never should have relied on him for anything after that. Then come. Let's see if you're any better with it than your great uncle.
Struck a nerve. But yeah, it's kind of like that. It kind of just makes a point, right? It's like that's when you know you got good character design. And I think also it comes down from this idea of simplicity is better. Right?
Surely you could have avoided that.
I tried. And I think it's just that it's exactly that, right? Simplicity is always better than like overcomplicating something. And I think it goes for both games and stories in general. because people always tend to over... I had to get hit there, I didn't want to.
Darkness. Where'd he go? Why don't you tell your loyal subjects to stay out of this?
Not really the shield guys, why give me those? I'll kill everything off there then.
The hunting goddess ought choose lesser prey.
Nah, I died for that. Oh well.
It's my last chance.
Here's about the one thing about this shield that I know it's really good for speedrunning, I think. Well, at least not this type of shield, but the normal shield plus the Zeus boon and stuff is really good, apparently.
Like that?
Try that again. Enough of you.
Yeah, I'm kind of I'm kind of realizing that to a certain point, right? Man, we nearly one-shot the guy. But yeah, I don't know. Ah, we died on Hades. It's disappointing.
I'm still more than capable of besting you.
That's my bad. I was probably playing. I don't think it's playing badly. It's probably not playing the best.
He's tough for an old man.
I'm up.
Are you? Let's give everyone some gifts.
Well, this is like a dream come true. I mean, how come you're always being so darn nice to me? But anyway, thanks.
Sure thing, Hypnos. Knock yourself out.
Literally. Ooh, a talk. Let's give a gift first.
No, this is for me. You really shouldn't have. You're spoiling me rotten.
I just happen to think you deserve better than you've got down here, Achilles.
I've been true.
Achilles, sir. There's something I've been wondering about your codex. The words are yours, and yet it's through my actions that I'm able to absorb them. Is that how mortal scriptures always work?
Ah. You have to understand, lad. I've been here in your father's realm for quite some time. My documented learnings became bound to me, much like the spear, you see. You can undo those bindings over time. Thus, my knowledge can be yours, whatever it amounts to.
I see. I think.
Interesting.
I'm grateful for it, sir.
What is it with the generosity lately? Look, I'll just stash this with the rest. If you really don't have a better thing to do with it, then dump it off on me.
Hey, that's an idea. One of these days or nights, we'll have enough of this stuff to throw a feast to make all of Olympus jealous. Fen, what's your relationship with Ares on Olympus? I know he deals in death himself, but his approach seems rather different from your own.
I do not care for his approach at all, but he has been professionally courteous with me. More than I can say for most of your Olympian relatives, I suppose.
You mean the rest of the Olympians don't treat you well?
Discounting Hermes, I should say, the rest of them have nothing much to do with me at all. I can imagine why. I know it's complicated with your father here. But as for Ares, I think he's all right.
Disturbingly all right.
That he is.
Now, here you go, Serpy, and, don't eat me, please.
Father's not back yet, huh?
Of course not. You know, he literally kind of killed me. Where would he be back yet? Drop the fish off. But yeah, this is like the simplicity of characters. I think is really important, and I think this is why.
You should check the garden. This garden isn't quite the sight yours was back on the surface, is it, Mother?
On the contrary, Zagreus. It has its own unique charm, as each garden does. I was impressed it wasn't left entirely to rot after my absence.
It was totally off limits to me, though I guess Father must have taken care to maintain it as best he could.
He did, all right. Minus the part where you weren't allowed. Though, let's look after it from here, shall we?
Sounds good.
I must confess, I do enjoy having a good bottle of nectar every now and then. And you appear to have a careful eye for such bottles, from what I can tell.
Yes, I do.
My careful eye has got to be the green one, hasn't it? To having a discerning eye, Mother.
But yeah, I will admit that, there are stories out there, this being one of them, that essentially you learn about over the course of your lifetime that have been passed down from generations to generations to generations, right? And I literally mean, like, they've been passed down centuries, and yet they're still talked about today. And the reason for that is not only are they simple, but they have hidden complexities to them. Stuff where it's not in your face or out there in the open. And I think that's something that we should probably start learning from our own history, because
I won't back down. Not now.
It can have a really positive impact, right? But yeah, that's it for today's video anyway. Too bad we didn't get the win this time round. But again, if you do enjoy these videos, do leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.